Sane karma uta varda nishri badra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nish Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimu Nish Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishas Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimu Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi hum. Pakyuke kudan dagi lo, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tukdan dagi yi, ten yerme chiktu jingi lo. Makyuke kudan dagi lo, makyuke sundan dagi nga, makyuke tukdan dagi, ten yerme Chikto Jingelo Sangye Chedan Soge Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Rola Pinchre Sangye Drupa Resho Sangye Chedan Soge Chanamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Rola Pinchre Sangye Drupa Resho Sangye Chedan Sogi Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chishe Gibe Sonamgi Rola Pinchre Sangye Drupa Resho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Very often, when we look at our spiritual path, when we look at the path to enlightenment, our spiritual practice, and so on, it seems like as if we are walking against the current. Not the current of society. Sometimes maybe, may look like that also. But the current of our own habits. Because we are made out of habits. The way how we talk, the way how we think, the way how we act. We are incredibly influenced by habits. We are not so much based on understanding and comprehension. We are mostly acting out of our own habits. Okay? So, these habits that we act from, they are basically the result of all the experiences we had. They are the results of the education we received, of the culture in which we grow, and so on. And out of these habits, we end up acting. Okay? So, what happened within that is that when we talk about developing our own qualities and training ourselves, it means we need to change habits. We need to change our own way of thinking and so on, but it's a habit, it's not an understanding. Even because there was one information I read once, and I don't remember the precise number, but it was saying something like more than 90% of our thoughts are just repetition of the previous thoughts. What is this showing to us? That actually, first, we are not so original. But actually, what is showing to us mostly is that we are based on habits. Which means, the more I think in a way, the more I will think in that way. The more I say something, the more I will say that. The more I experience in a way, the more I will experience in that way. And that's how we work. When something is initially difficult, we repeat, slowly it gets easy. It's in this way. If I am always sitting in the wrong position, then suddenly I put an effort to sit straight. Slowly I sit many times straight. Slowly I will just sit and I will sit straight naturally. Okay? It is like this for our way of speaking. If we always speak in a certain way, gradually it becomes natural. And every action that we do, normally, we are already shaping ourselves and our mind. Every thought we have, we are shaping our mind. Every word we say, we are shaping our speech and our mind. Every action we do, we are shaping our actions and our mind. We are constantly doing that. But we are doing it mostly in a non-conscious way. We just act. So basically what happens is that we shape ourselves just following the shape which we have already somehow taken. We just get stronger and stronger in the shape that we already have, because it's basically mostly repetition of what we have already done. Okay? So in the practice of Dharma, especially in this context which we call the Lojong, which is translated as mind training. Lo is mind, Jong means to learn, means to train. It means to train ourselves to develop different habits, to go in an opposite direction of which we go mostly. Why? Because mostly the root of our suffering is ignorance, and the main cause of our suffering is selfishness. And from that is coming anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, and all the rest. So what is the main training that we are talking about? Is to train ourselves in the development of wisdom, to counteract ignorance, and the development of love and compassion, bodhicitta, in order to go against selfishness. Okay? But it is not easy to develop these qualities. It is not easy to train ourselves in wisdom and in love, in bodhicitta. It's something that takes not like 1 hour a day. That would be wonderful, but it's not enough. Our training must be something constant at every moment. Then really there is a big difference happening. But in order for us really to be able to act in a way that is not in the beginning natural and in the beginning is not spontaneous, we need to train ourselves. It's like the example I did before of sitting. If I always sit like this, that's my natural way of doing, but it brings me pain, so I understand I cannot do this. So I need to start to make a movement. At the beginning is painful, it's not easy, but the more I do, until a moment that it becomes natural, and then it's a good way of being. So, this is the principle that regarding wisdom, regarding love and compassion, bodhicitta, we need to train ourselves in it. We are not yet entering into that point. As we saw yesterday, we have 7 points of mind training. The objective is to train ourselves in love and compassion in order to reach enlightenment. This training has 7 points. The second point is the actual training of wisdom and love. But before that, in order for us to be able to do that training, we need to have a lot of strength and determination, which is not obvious at all. So where do we get that strength and that determination in order to be able to train ourselves correctly? from the so-called preliminaries. The preliminaries is like the preparation that we do in order to train ourselves. It's like a preparatory training. So what do we have in that part? We need to develop a correct way of relying upon the Guru, the spiritual guide. We need to develop, one, the awareness of the preciousness of this life. We need to develop the awareness of our own mortality, the certainty of death, and the certainty of the uncertainty of the moment of death. We need to develop the awareness of the law of karma. And we need to take refuge. Okay? These are the 5 basic points of the preliminaries. We can go into more details in between that. But when we say, first, practice the preliminaries, we are not talking about making Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Sangye Sangye Bla. It's not about making prayers. Even though these prayers have the same objective. But we are talking about familiarizing ourselves with these states of consciousness. Yesterday we saw the first 3. The first one is when we rely correctly upon the Guru. We create a pure relation with our Guru in which we take refuge taking refuge in the Dharma. We see our Guru as a pure emanation of a Buddha, as someone pure, because we learn how to connect with the pure aspect. That's what we were seeing yesterday. Okay? I'm not going to go into details right now. We connect with the pure part of it. If someone would like to go into more details about these first points also, there is this text that we have translated, which is the text, the Lamrim, called the Lamrim Lagle Marja Nyingi Turma, by Paponka Rinpoche, one small booklet we have translated, which is called The Heart Spoon. The heart spoon is like the heart spoon to take the essence of the path, of the experience of the path. And by Paponka Rinpoche, and this text is very beautiful, the way how he's talking about relying correctly upon the Guru, and impermanence, and the preciousness of this life, and so on. So, then the second point, as we were seeing, recognizing how privileged we are with the conditions we have. We are really in a very, very special position, in the world and in society, in order to be able to practice the Dharma. We have conditions that are not obvious at all. Okay? This doesn't mean we are superior to anyone. It just means that we have an opportunity, which is very special. And third, we saw the aspect which is these opportunities sooner or later will end. So we need to do something about it right now. Okay? So the point which we'll go today is the aspect of developing the awareness of karma. Okay? Just one thing before that, we realize the preciousness of this life when we develop a spontaneous joy of being alive and having these wonderful opportunities. Is when we are able to see the qualities that we have, to see the opportunity, the good part, and not only be blocked with the negative aspects. Sure, none of us have a perfect life. Otherwise, we'd have no need to practice Dharma. Okay? We all have difficulties, we all have sufferings, that's part of our lives in samsara. But still, if we really look well, we have more positive aspects than negative aspects in our lives. Okay? We can see it or we cannot see it. Depends the way how each one of us we look at it. Okay? There are moments in which we see in a way, moments in which we see in another. But the second point is to recognize truly and deeply our own qualities, the good aspects of this opportunity of life that we have, and to rejoice deeply about it. The third point of impermanence, we realize it, we conclude the training in impermanence when we think about our own death, and it gives us goosepics, and we feel cold in the belly. Like, oh, I'm going to die. It's not just like intellectual. Okay? And I must make this life meaningful. Not like I'm going to die and I have fear of death. No. I have fear of not using my life in a meaningful way. That's when we get to the right point. Okay? So today we'll start with the Dharma. I would like just to read this text again for those that were not here yesterday. And then we continue with the next verse. Okay? So now, I will just read the text from the beginning up to the part of the karma, then we explain the part of the karma, okay? Just remember that this is a self-criticism text, so it's a bit hard. So, and we should not take it as a sort of developing of guilt. There is no guilt involved at all. It's basically the text, every verse is divided into what is the wrong behavior, a metaphor for the wrong behavior, and what is the right behavior that we should have. It's like nalso, negative and positive, so it's helping us to understand what is the way how we shouldn't do, and what's the way how we should do. Okay? And then there is always a metaphor to help us to understand the way how we shouldn't do. But we should not read it in the sense of feeling guilty, oh, how bad I am, or this or that. It's just as a way of looking with clarity to ourselves, what am I doing? How am I acting, and how should I act? Basically, it's that. The name of the text is The Medicine to Vomit the Inner Tumor. The inner tumor is the tumor of selfishness, the tumor of ignorance, the tumor of anger, and so on. Medicine to vomit is because in Tibetan medicine, there are some medicines that one take in order to vomit, to induce vomit. When someone has some sort of poison or something like this, there are some medicine. I took it one time. It was this terrible pill. You take it, after a few seconds, there you are vomiting. No? So they have this objective to induce vomit. So this text has the objective to induce the vomit, put out, throw away our own negative behavior and our selfishness and so on. Okay. So it's a very direct, straightforward text, which was written by Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen, the one that wrote the Guru Puja. And it's not a very well-known text, so we did a translation before. I had never seen a translation before of the text. And it says, Namo Guru Manju Goshaya, I prostrate to Guru Manjushri. You, Lokeshvara, the Lord of the world, Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, who takes the form of a spiritual friend, the Guru, and makes the doctrine flourish in this area of the snowy mountain in Tibet. You, Venerable, are incomparable in kindness and all-knowing. You are incomparable, you are full of compassion and wisdom. At your feet, Guru, the protector of migrating beings, I bow down. With your I will also read the Tibetan in order to have the transmission complete for those that were not here yesterday. Namo Guru Manjo Goshaya. Jikten Wanju Shenyen Tsusone Kanri Chodir Tempa Gezepa Kadrinyame Jitsun Tamcheken Rowe Gombo Lame Shabla Du. Jinju Drebu Namla Tuche Sin Loka Chola Chopar Jingi Lob. So at your feet, Guru, the protector of migrating beings, I bow down. With your compassion, please look upon us, idiot followers. Bless our minds to be directed towards Dharma. What it means here by being an idiot, basically it means I that don't know, like Rinpoche is saying self-healing, Taka say, please bless me who really, what I'm doing, I really don't know. What I'm really doing, I really don't know. I just try to do, but really what I'm doing, I don't know. So this is what it means here by being idiot. It's not like being bad or something like that. It's just saying, hey, look, please, Guru, take care of me. I don't know what I'm really doing. I'm here. I try to do my best, but I am stupid, I have my own limitations. This is Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen saying that, okay? Just the two verses, and to bless our minds to be directed towards the Dharma, it's part of the first verse. This text, every verse is made of 6 lines, okay? Then starts with the preliminaries. The first one is directing our mind towards the Dharma. It says, Ngunche chebe rangi chotsula zumo nangtu kugne sambetse semba gyombe wage jishintu chopra dzune. Chomin chebe gyo, chope sonyen dala tuje sik, chinche cho shin drubra jingilo. When I point my own finger at myself and reflect on the way I have behaved in the past, I realized that just like a fox wearing a lion's skin, having entered as a member of the Dharma practitioners, I have committed non-dharmic actions. Therefore, I'm filled with regret. Even though I call myself a Dharma practitioner, very often I'm not acting in accordance with that. Okay? So I'm just like a fox wearing the skin of a lion. It looks like I am so strong, but actually I'm just a fox with the skin of a lion. No? So I regret of that. With your compassion, please look upon me who I am the mere reflection of a Dharma practitioner. I appear as a Dharma practitioner, but I'm not really a real one. Bless me. Now come what we should accomplish. Bless me to practice the Dharma properly from now on, to be coherent in every action I have with the Dharma. Kedrup tume shabla tula kyan sangye ngogi dushe magebe serngo chodu lakro druba shing yönden porne gyondo chebe gyo kalche lokta kenla tuje si tegu tsolme kewar jingi lob. Although I have been present, then this next verse is relying correctly upon the Guru. Although I have been in the presence of numerous panditas and siddhas. Panditas means people of great knowledge, siddhas, realized beings. So although I have been in the presence, I have received teachings, blessing, empowerments from masters with great knowledge and realizations, I have not developed the recognition of them as real Buddhas. Therefore, I have ignored their qualities and instead laid faults upon them, like dragging gold and silver around, as if a piece of tattered rope. Thus I'm filled with regret. This example is coming in Tibet. In the horses and donkeys, they used to, where there's the saddle, they used to put some old pieces of cloth hanging. And this they were just like hanging and touching the floor, and would be the most like old pieces of cloth, like with no value, no? So he's saying, here the example is, there's a Tibetan example which says to take gold and silver and to hang in the horse just as the old piece of cloth, which means you take something very valuable and you put that in a place of no value at all. No? So this means the example for I have the most wonderful master, instead of recognizing the qualities I relate with the faults that I project on him, so I am relating in a very low level to something that has a very important level. So this is the meaning of this part, no? So, with your compassion, please look upon me, the unfortunate one with a wrong view. So bless me to effortlessly develop faith and respect towards them, towards my gurus. Although I have, next one is the preciousness of this life. Although I have, Daljor dalge jorchu tensan tobla kyang nyeka tunche ningne madrempe ringche lingne songse lar lokshin teme ngangla mitse sebe gyo. Daljor tonlo kenla tukche si tsela tunden chebar jingilo. Although I have obtained a good supporting body with the 8 leisures and the 10 endowments, although I have a life with freedom and richness. The leisures means I am free from severe pain, I am free from severe sickness, I am free from severe poverty, I am free from very, very strong sufferings. And I have the teachings, I have a good material situation, I have a healthy body with the 5 senses working, I have a good education, I have been in contact with the Dharma, I have the possibility to practice the Dharma, I have all the conditions positive which I may need. Okay? So, although I have obtained a good supporting body with the 8 leisures and the 10 endowments, although I have obtained that, I have not recalled it from the heart, now how difficult it is to find, nor how meaningful it is. Even though I have gained such a precious body, such a precious life, I do not recall, I do not remember from the depth of my heart how meaningful it is and how difficult it is to get it. Therefore, just like somebody who returns empty-handed from a continent of jewels, it's like if you go to one island just to catch jewels, and it's an island full of jewels, you make a very hard travel, so difficult to get there, only very few people are allowed to go there. Suddenly you have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go there. You go there, and when you come back, you have not taken any jewel, because when you were there, you were just saying how beautiful are the jewels, or maybe you were complaining it was too hot, or whatever. And then you come back empty-handed. Okay? So this opportunity we have is so precious, just like a continent of jewels. And if we do not make this life meaningful, it's like coming back empty-handed. Okay? So, therefore, just like somebody who returns empty-handed from a continent of jewels, I have come to the end of my life without any meaning. Why the end of my life? I don't know when life is going to end. So if it's tomorrow or today, this is the end of my life almost. So up to now, I have come to this part of my life just avoiding suffering, looking for pleasure, most of the time we're doing that. So I am filled with regret. With your compassion, please look upon me, I who rendered this rebirth of leisure and richness empty. What is the correct attitude? Please bless me, so to make the rest of my life meaningful. How we make the life meaningful? By developing our qualities and helping others. Next point refers to impermanence and death. I have heard that birth ends in death, but I have not recalled from my heart that the moment of death is uncertain. Even though I know that I'm going to die, I do not remember and I do not recall it deeply that when it's good, that is uncertain. Even when we say, yes, I'm going to die when, I don't know, but then I don't know, maybe after some time, okay? I don't know when I'm going to die, but this I don't know is like I don't know after maybe 30 years, 20 years. Is an I don't know that is more far away. So we do not really recall the uncertainty of the moment of death, even though we have heard that we are going to die. We're not 100% sure, there is some doubt somewhere, maybe there is a possibility not to die, but still we have heard that we are going to die, but we do not recall deeply from our hearts the certainty of death and the uncertainty of the moment of death. So, therefore, because of this, I have spent my days and nights in distraction and sleep, as if I had the security of having gained freedom from death. During the day, I am distracted. During the night, I am sleeping, just as if I would have never to die. Thus, I am filled with regret. With your compassion, please look upon me, I who postpone practice with the notion of being permanent. Please bless me to exert effort without wasting any time. So this is the quality to develop, to have effort in our practice without losing any time. Okay? The next verse refers to the law of karma, and it says, I didn't read the one in Tibetan, sorry, I just read again. Kieta chiwar sumbe kola kyang, namche chame nyingne madrempe, rawan tobe denshik yoba shing, nam yen nyigi nyinsin debe gyom. Tanzin chishu kenla tukje si, longme tsundru tsompra chingilop. Lendre namye chungse shela kyang, yeche teba tingne makepe, mikchen yangla chongpa chishintu, Sheshin lendre keto sebe gyo. Ngansa telmedala tuche sik, dikpon gewa drubar jingilo. And this is the verse of today, which refers to the law of karma. And it says, I do know a little of the distinction of what is good or bad, relating to karma and its result. But I have not generated a belief in it from the depth of my heart. Therefore, I have knowingly ignored karmic law. Just like a sighted person who jumps from a precipice, thus I am filled with regret. With your compassion, please look upon me, I who am without shame or consideration. Please look upon me so that I may be able to abandon negative actions and practice virtue. So, I do know little about the distinction between positive and negative actions, the distinction between cause and effect, about karma. I do know something about karma. Okay? What means karma? Karma doesn't mean the destiny. The word karma literally means action. So it means action, condition, result. Cause, condition, result. Action means cause. So basically, the karma means every word we say, every thought we have, every choice we make, every action we do, of body, speech, or mind, is a cause that we are creating. It's like a seed that we are planting. That sooner or later we'll enter in contact with a condition that will make it ripen into a result. Okay. So, to understand a little bit more about the law of karma, we have 4 aspects of karma that we need to go through. The first aspect of karma is that karma is coherent, which means every action we do, the result will be coherent with the cause we have created. It's like if we plant a seed of an orange, we are not going to get an apple. Okay? From orange, we get orange. So this is something which is similar to that. If we do a positive action, we have a positive result. If we do a negative action, we have a negative result. If we do a neutral action, we have a neutral result. Okay? This is quite complex and not easy to explain and to understand clearly what are positive actions, what are negative actions. It's not something so obvious. Okay? But making it simple, the basis of it is the motivation. It does not define everything. It's not a matter of only motivation. Okay? Sometimes we may have the best motivation, but still part of our action may be negative. I mean part because if the motivation is good, the action is not complete. If we do something wrong, something negative. Okay? Like for example, I have the intention to help some people, and as a result, I harm someone else, or I kill a person. No, it's the example I did many times. We are in a kitchen at the 10th floor of a building, and then we are teaching kids how to bake chocolate cake. And there we have this electric oven where we are making the cake. And then we have like 20 children in this small kitchen, everybody there looking at it. And then suddenly it happens that the oven starts to catch fire. And this toxic smoke is coming out of it. And we have no way how to open the doors for the kids to go out. And what do? Even though we burn our hands to save the children, we take the oven and we throw it from the window. Motivation? Good. Compassion, protection, love, helping the children. But the problem is that the oven falls on top of a head of a man that is walking by the road and kills him. Did I have the intention to kill? No. Did I kill? Yes. Am I responsible for it? Yes, even though I didn't want. Okay? It's similar to the law. The law do not allow ignorance. According to the law, even if we do something that is against the law, but we didn't know, this doesn't mean that we are not responsible for what we have done. Okay? But the level of responsibility in the law is different. If I knew, knowing, and if I did not knowing is different. Okay? Similar is in the karma. When we do an action with the intention, with the actual motivation to do it, and we make for that reason, then the action is complete. For the action to be complete, we must have the motivation, we must do the action, we must complete the action, and we must rejoice about the action. I did it. So I see the man coming, I take the oven, I throw the oven, I must get him. I got on his head, yes, I made it. Okay? So the action is complete. Okay? I want to help a person, I go to do the help, I am able to help, how good I could help him. The action is complete. Okay? So, positive actions, mostly, otherwise we can stay here for hours discussing about it, but making it simple, our actions are mostly defined by the motivation, if they are positive or negative. And the motivation basically is every action that we do based on anger, hatred, aggression, miserliness, arrogance, and so on, are negative actions. jealousy, envy are negative actions. The actions that we do with love, compassion, generosity, with faith, like with commitment also. There is one other negative action. It's like when we create a positive commitment and we break that positive commitment, this is a negative action. When we create a positive commitment and we keep the positive commitment, that's a positive action also. Okay? So basically, the main thing is our motivation. For example, it's interesting, attachment and desire. Is it a mental defilement? Yes. But is it a negative action, something we do with attachment? Not necessarily. Why? Because the point is the following. It is a very strong mental defilement, because out of desire, out of attachment, I will suffer. It brings the mind to an unpeaceful state. Any emotion, any state of mind that brings the mind to an unpeaceful state is a mental defilement. But out of attachment, if I like so much the flower, I like so much the mala, let's say, okay? I am completely attached to my mala. The more I am attached to the mala, the more I will suffer when I need to separate from the mala. The more I will suffer when the mala gets broken, and so on, or gets taken by someone else. And if someone takes my mala and I'm really attached to it, what attitude do I have towards that person? Attraction or aversion? Aversion brings negative action. So normally, the stronger is the attachment, the stronger will be the aversion. Okay, so the actual negative action is coming from the violence, is coming from the aversion, is coming from the anger, and so on. And normally, attachment and desire inevitably brings anger and aversion. Okay? So, this is this connection. So, just making it simple now. We have actions done with a negative motivation will bring negative results. The results of our actions manifest through our sensation. Where do we experience the result of our actions? Through our sensations. Sensation of pleasure, result of a positive karma. Sensation of suffering, result of a negative karma, a negative action. Okay? Now, this is the first aspect. Second aspect of the karma is that there is no result that didn't have a cause. Okay? There is no experience of pleasure or suffering that came out of the blue, without any causes. And who made the causes? Ourself. In other words, we cannot experience anything without having ourselves created the causes for it. But here there is a very important aspect, which is understanding the difference between causes and conditions. Okay? Every action we do is a cause that we create. It's like a seed that we plant. Later, this seed, in order to bring its result, it needs to have the right earth, it needs water, it needs the sun, which are the conditions. Okay? So, the causes are always in the past. The past can be a nearby past, which is 1 second ago, or it can be a very, very far away past, thousands of lives ago. It can be at any moment of the past. 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year, whatever, okay? It doesn't matter. The past can be at any moment of the past. I have created many, many seeds I have planted. The condition are our body and mind at the present moment, our actions at the present moment, the people around us and their actions at the present moment, the environment that surrounds us at the present moment. All of this is part of the condition. The complex interaction that we experience at the present moment within ourselves and others is the condition through which the causes that we have created in the past will manifest. In other words, our own past is the cause, the present is the condition through which we experience the results of the past. Okay? So, normally, everything that we call the cause of our suffering, mostly are the conditions through which we suffer. or what we call the causes of our happiness, are just the conditions through which we experience happiness, but are not the actual causes of suffering and the actual causes of happiness. And because we don't have this type of awareness, we are not able to make the correct connection between causes and results. So, we do not create the causes because we don't have awareness of what results these causes will bring. Okay? The law of karma is similar, if we make a metaphor, to the use of credit card. It's like, imagine a credit card. Normally, when you go around and you spend money with your credit card, do we need to pay for everything we buy or not? Yes, no? No choice. So, imagine a credit card that we can use, has no limit. Okay? But one specific thing is that the payment, the bill, will come in a moment which is not regularly, and in the bill there is no description of what is that payment. So one day we get to pay something. What it is that we are paying, we don't know. If we would get a credit card that is like this, that the bill will come in the moment that we don't know when the bill comes, and we don't know what for what. Maybe I buy something and I only need to pay that after 15 or 20 or 30 years, whatever. And maybe I need to pay something right away. I don't know when I need to pay what. Okay? Maybe could we receive a bill and we get upset with saying, but I didn't spend that money? Is similar to the fact that happens the same way. We have credits and debits, which we receive the credit and we need to pay the debit, but without knowing exactly for what is the credit and for what is the debit that we have. So, similar to that, we have created many actions in the past, positive and negative. So, even if we say that we believe in the karma, like Panchen Lobsang is telling us, a very common attitude is, when something good happens, what a good karma I have. When something bad happens, it's your fault. It's the fault of someone else. Okay? This we have seen in many situations, okay? Even with it's something, even some people that are supposed to be great practitioners, we see this in many situations, okay? So, basically the point here is, as Panchen Rinpoche says to us, I do know a little of the distinction of what is good and bad in relation to karma and its results. I have some idea of what are the positive actions, what are the negative actions. Positive actions bring positive results, negative actions bring negative results. The third aspect of karma is that every action will bring a result unless we purify or destroy it. And there are some basic rules. For example, if we regret of an action, we make the strength of that action lesser. If we rejoice of that action, we make the strength of that action stronger. So if we reject of a positive action, what happens? The positive action becomes weaker. If we reject of a negative action, the strength of that negative action becomes smaller. If we rejoice of a positive action, the strength of the positive action becomes bigger. If we rejoice of a negative action, the strength of the negative action becomes bigger. This is just two examples of how it can develop and diminish, okay? And the fourth aspect is the aspect that the karma grows. The karma is not something static. And it has two aspects of growth. One aspect is the more I act in a way, the more I will act in that way. It's the example of having a footprint. The more I walk in one way, the easier it is to put the foot at exactly the same place again. The footprint gets deeper and deeper. So the more I think in a way, the more I speak in a way, the more I act in a way, the easier it will be to act and speak and think in that way. So this is one of the aspects of karma. Every time I lie, the more I will lie. The more I act with a negative speech, the more I will act with a negative speech. The more I complain, the more I will complain. The more I react with violence, the more I will react with violence. This is because we get used. This is one aspect of the growing of the karma. The other aspect is that the actual seed that we plant, the actual action that we do, In the moment that we just do it and we keep it secret somehow, we do not open, we do not admit our action, it has the tendency to grow and to get stronger. Okay? In other words, when we buy something and we do not acknowledge that we bought it, we get higher interest rates coming. Okay? So when we come the bill, it will come bigger than what we expect. Okay? What's the way to cut the interest rate? To openly admit what we did. So when we openly admit our mistakes, we cut off the interest rates. On the other side, when we do something good and we go around say, oh, look how wonderful, I like what I did. We show off, then we cut also the interest rates on the positive aspect, okay? It stopped growing also. So, it's the 4 aspects of karma. So going back to text as it says, I do know a little of the distinction of what is good or bad relating to karma and its result, but I have not generated a belief in it from the depths of my heart. Even though I know, when it's convenient I follow, when it's not convenient maybe I don't follow. I'm not 100% really following that. Basically because I do not have a clear understanding of the relation between cause and effect. I'm not able to see it. It's like if I touch the microphone and I get an electric shock. Will I touch it again? No. Okay, unless I am forced to do it. But I will not touch it again because I know there is an electric shock. Okay? But what happens if I'm not able to understand the relation between touching and getting the electric shock? I will continue to touch and I will continue to get the electric shock and complain about the electric shock, but I cannot, why I continue to do? Because I don't know the relation between the two. Okay, this is like what we do. We continue to do the same actions to get the same results, but we do not understand the relation between the cause and the result. That's the difficulty that we have. So, but even though we know, we have heard, we know a little bit of the distinction, but still we do not believe it from the depth of our heart. Therefore, I have knowingly ignored the karmic law. Knowingly, I have ignored karmic law. Knowingly, I have ignored the law of cause and effect. Just like a sighted person, someone who has an ability to see, who jumps from a precipice and after complains that he's hurt, Like, one thing is a blind person that falls from the precipice and walks through the precipice. He's blind. Another thing is a sighted person. Like one time I asked a friend of mine, a very knowledgeable person, and I asked him, how are you? And the answer that he gave to me was, when the ignorant makes a mistake, the mistake is small. When the wise makes the mistake is big. So, when we know and we still do it, then it's more serious. So what I say here is we know about the law of karma, we have understanding what is good and what is bad, and still we do it. Why? Because we do not believe from the depths of our heart of what result our actions will bring to ourselves. So I am filled with regret of that. With your compassion, please look upon me, I who am without shame or consideration. Shame in this context, the word in Tibetan, ngotsa and telyo, it means consideration for oneself and consideration for others. Shame in this context, it means to avoid a negative action out of consideration for one's own self. Which means, I know that this is not good, so I don't do, even though I want to. But I know it's not good, so I'm not going to do it. Consideration for myself. Consideration for others, I know that it's not good, so I don't do because other people will see, other people will get involved in it, other people will be harmed, so out of consideration for others, I avoid that negative action. Okay? So, this is what we call by shame or consideration for oneself, ngotsa, and telyo, consideration for others. So, out of consideration for myself and consideration for others, I do many negative actions. So I regret about that, and please bless me to abandon negative actions and practice virtue, and to accomplish positive actions. Okay? I think it's quite clear, right? One other point which is said in different teachings, it says, the beginning of the practice of Dharma starts by believing in the law of karma. We start truly practicing Dharma when we put in practice the law of karma. When we are fully aware that every action we do will bring a result to us. Okay? Now, as we saw from the verses before, we have a beautiful opportunity now, but sooner or later, we are going to die. Correct? So the point is that every action I do, I will take a result. So what determines what type of continuity I will have after my death? Two things. The condition at the moment of death and the causes that I have created before, which is not a sum of the causes, and the moment of death there is a sort of final judgment in which you say, okay, you count the points, positive points, negative points, and they're okay, you passed or you didn't pass. It's not that, okay? It's like we will experience the result of one positive action or one negative action or one neutral action. One cause that we made will manifest its results in the moment of our death to the condition. That's why the condition is almost more important than the causes. What is the condition at the moment of death? It's our own inner state, mental state at the moment of our death. That's the most important thing when we die. How can I assure myself to have a positive mental state in the moment of my death? By training myself during lifetime to have a positive mental state. That's the only way I know. And I have two examples to show how this is possible of people from the Sangha. Two ladies. One is a lady which already passed away. Her name was Patricia Beninca, so I like to dedicate for her also. She passed away like 2 years ago, friend of us. And she had a moment, few years before she passed away, she had a very big problem in her liver. And which was a direct result of the actions she did when she was young, okay? And anyhow, what happened is that this is just to remember karma, no? Action, result. So what happened is that at one point, she was with friends in Dubai, and she started vomiting blood. She went the emergency to the hospital, and she had a problem connected to her liver. And basically, they gave her the possibility of survival of 30%. And she stayed in coma for a few days and many other days in a state of semi-coma. And what happened after she survived, she came out of it very well. Okay, everything went well. But when she woke up, she told that her experience during the period, especially of the semi-coma, was a very pleasurable experience. And during the whole time, she was reciting the mantra of the Guru. Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarvasiddhi Hum Hum. I don't remember if she was reciting or singing the mantra. Oma Guru. I don't know in which way, but she was reciting the mantra of the Guru. And she said she felt protected, she felt peaceful, she felt in a very good state. Okay? Even at the moment, in her own confusion state, little bit, she was like saying to herself, oh, I cannot do the mantra loudly because I am in a Muslim country. Maybe someone don't like that I do a Buddhist mantra, you know. She even had this type of thought in between. But she said her inner state was very peaceful. So when she came out, she said the whole experience was actually very good. She was very assured about it. Okay, this is one positive example. Another example is another friend of us, and she had a car accident, a very quite bad car accident, and the car turned around many times and so on, and she fainted during the car accident. So after some time, she was still fainted when came the rescues to take to the ambulance and so on to rescue them, and they woke her up. So when they woke her up, she woke up with a smile, and they asked, how are you? And she said, I couldn't be better. because she had the whole period of whatever happened, and she was reciting in her mind the taking of refuge, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharma, and she had this deep sensation of refuge, and she was so well. So even the people around were saying, this lady is crazy, answering this way. But she had this strong sensation of being loved and protected and cared, and she was in this beautiful inner state of refuge. So this is another example of directing the mind towards something that is positive in a difficult moment. So this is what we need to do. We need to train ourselves. So that's why when we take refuge, when we connect to the Guru, when we connect to the holy beings and all of this, we are connecting to what? To a state of love, to a state of peace. That's what we are connecting to. Of wisdom. And this is the positive state of mind that we need to generate in the moment of our death. So the only way how we can assure that is by practicing during our lifetime. And by creating this connection and directing our mind towards what is positive in the difficult moments. Because I don't think death will be a very easy moment for many of us. So if we are used to direct our mind to what is positive, it's like, even in our language, we have the used, like from following the monotheistic tradition, when something bad happens, what do people say normally? Oh my God. Okay? It's like directing oneself to something that is positive in a difficult moment. That's something good, if we really do it in the sense of taking refuge at that moment. No? So Tibetans say Kunchosum, the 3 jewels. Okay? But it's like, then I have a friend, he used to say Guya Samaja. When something bad happened. Like in Brazil we say, oh Jesus, or things like that. And he was saying like Guya Samaja, Yamantaka, or things like that, I do not like it so much personally, but it's just different ways of doing it. But the point is that we should have the ability to direct our mind towards what is positive. This is one way, which is directly related to karma, because karma means action, means familiarizing, means repeating, means creating the habit. Okay? The second aspect is that the actions that we do in this life will bring results, no doubt about that. One of the best ways, according to one of Rinpoche's gurus, Kyabche Son Rinpoche, to understand better the law of karma is to read the sutras of Buddha, in which people would come to him and ask him why this happened, and Buddha would say, this happened because of this condition, because of that cause. So at that many lives ago, you did this with that, and that, and because of that action, now you are having this result. And it's quite shocking. So there is this sutra in which Buddha is saying this. In our Western mentality, it really doesn't fit so well, okay? Because normally we see, but how come from that small action I can have this result? Because we come from the idea that the result is like a sum. We need to sum up the results, like a judgment, okay? I did so much positive, so much negative, I have my balance and I have my result out of a balance. It's not like that. Every action can bring a result. It's like if I plant in the same field, the same area, I plant many seeds of something sweet. Okay? Then I put few seeds of something bitter. When the seeds will grow, will the bitter become sweet because it's surrounded by sweet seeds? No. The other way around happens. If I plant many bitter plants, and then I put a seed of something sweet, when the sweet seed comes and gives its own fruit, will it become bitter because it's surrounded by bitter plants? No. Similar to that, the positive action will bring positive results, even though we do many negative actions. The negative actions will bring negative results, even though we do many positive actions. Okay? So, this just made me remember now one of the stories. I think was, now I am some little confusion, but I'm quite sure it is an action of which was of this great crazy wisdom Mahasiddha called Drupa Kunle. He was a master of crazy wisdom, a realized master in Tibet, but he was manifesting himself in the most unconventional way. Okay? So one time he arrived in a village, and there were many people which were crying because their teacher passed away. And he was a good man in many ways. And he passed away, and they were all like praying for him and hoping to have him have a good rebirth and wondering where he was reborn and so on. Some time have passed out of that. Then Drupa Kunle passed by there, and suddenly he went to one place and he took a little donkey. And he put the donkey in the throne and the clothes on top of the donkey. And then the people get so offended, no? And they said, why you get offended? Here is the reincarnation of your teacher. He was reborn as a donkey. And he was right, actually. And he was explaining, because in the moment of his death, he did this, that, and so on. So because of that, even though he was a wonderful person, he is going to have a short life as a donkey because of the negative action that he did in the past, which was not purified, and because of the condition in the moment of his death. So it's not because I have a title of Lama that I cannot have a negative rebirth. It's not because I am the friend of a Lama that I'm going to have a good rebirth in this or that way. Karma is for everyone. Even when we need to teach and we go into the throne, which is representing the importance of the teachings, we're always supposed to snap the finger. Why? To remember impermanence, to remember death. Time is passing and I will die. And in moment of my own death is me with me. It's not because I have an important title that I have a special way for the lamas. When the lamas die because you have a title, you have a special pathway to have a good rebirth. This is not going to happen. People can say I am a Buddha, people can say I am a demon, I am what I am. And I need to deal with my actions, I need to deal with my own karma and with my own mind and my own actions. That's why we always remember impermanence. Don't feel so special that don't need to worry about your own karma, no? So Drupa Kunle, he did this action in this way. So this is just to remember us that karma is strong. It's like and when one karma, the condition comes and the result starts manifesting, then we need to finish, the results need to finish before we can stop that result. It's like if I am holding something and then I suddenly let it go, I need to wait it fall down to catch it. I cannot stop in between, really. Okay? Which means when the karma starts giving the result, we need to wait for it to finish. It's like when a sickness manifests, then it's too late to avoid it. We need to cure it. Okay? So even there was one of the main disciples of Buddha Shakyamuni, he was called Moggallana, or Mogganaliputra, which is depicted, whenever Buddha is depicted, there are two disciples, it's Shariputra and Mogganaliputra, no? Moggallana, there's two one. Moggallana, Shariputra was extremely intelligent. Moggallana, he was able to do magics, like illusions, said that he was able to fly and to disappear and to make fire and do all these types of illusions, no? So one day, Moggallana, he was walking from one place to another, and he passed by one place, one village, where people were very much against Buddhists. And they saw him, and they took him, and they beat him up so badly. And this was the main condition through which he died. Huh? He was able still to arrive in the place of the monastery where Buddha was and the others, and he was completely broken, and he died short after, out of that. So they asked him, why you did not fly away? Why you did not do some magic in order to change their attention and escape from what happened? Why you didn't do something like this? You have this ability. You have seen so many times. Why you didn't do anything like that at that moment? And then he answered, when your karma catches you, there is no way to escape. So, this was one of the main disciples of Buddha. What I want to say is that we have our karma, each one of us, positive and negative. So, we need to be careful to create good conditions, because if we create the bad conditions, bad results from the negative actions we have done in this or other lives will ripen. So it's so important to take care of our conditions in the present, and at the same time not to create new causes, because our problem is that Moggallana had wisdom, So when people beat him up, what was his answer? This was my karma ripening. What would be that of most of us? That stupid people, anger towards them, revenge towards them. So I react with a negative action. It's like when come the bill to pay what I do, I make another loan. Bigger one. Then it's endless. So at least we need to be careful not to make new loans and to create good credit. In other words, to make positive actions and to avoid our negative actions. Because in the moment we die, as during our life and afterwards, our karma just follows us as the shadow follows the body. It's always there, the actions that we have done. So we need to be very careful to really take care of how we act, which conditions we create. Remember, the conditions are mostly internal. And this is the next step, which is the fourth point of familiarity, which is with the law of karma. Okay? The question was about our actions. What happened when we have they said identical actions. Actually, identical actions don't exist. Because the moment changes, the context changes. They can be very, very similar, but by definition, whatever is similar by definition is different. So, what happens is that we can have similar actions, and when we create very similar actions, it's possible to have one result for many actions. So, for example, we can have many, many, many small actions, positive or negative, and we have one big result, positive or negative, according to what we have done. This is also possible. On the other side, it's possible to have one big negative karma, and we can experience it in a longer term with many small negative results. This is also possible. Okay? So it's like we have one big loan, but we pay it in many different, terms. No, we pay every month a little bit. So this is also possible. Okay? Anyhow, so I think for today we stop here. Okay? And then with this we have concluded what is called the small being or the small scope, which is understanding that we cannot take care only of this life. We need to take care of what continues after it. Then tomorrow we'll come, hopefully we'll finish the next part, and which refers to, is the end of the preliminaries. So tomorrow we'll finish the part of the preparation, so that the day after tomorrow we can start with the actual practice on training in love and wisdom. Okay? Jetson lame kotse rapten chi namkar chinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe drume sasum ki drove munsel tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsindele nime kuyan delek shin ninsen taktu delek pe koncho sumke jinge lo koncho sumke ngodrup sol koncho sumke trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.